Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Fateless podcast episode. I am traveling. I'm on the laptop, so my background's a little bit different, but we are ready to rock and excited to catch up with the guys from Story Games, Michael and Steven. What is going on? Steven, I'll pass it to you. What's going on over there at Story Games recently here?
Yeah, hey guys. Hey, first, just thanks for having us back. I mean, goodness me, we've been looking forward to this for the last, I think it's been about a month or so. Really good to be back here. Good to see you guys. We're so excited to talk. Yeah, my name is Steven. I'm the CEO of Story Games, and we started our company about a year and a half ago. Started with my best good buddy in the whole world, my twin brother, Michael. You want to do a quick intro, bud?
Yeah, just honestly, mostly want to say I have tons of gratitude as well. Like Steve said, I've been looking forward to this tremendously. And yeah, I'm excited both to hear about what you guys have been up to since we talked last, and then share a little bit about what Steve and I have been up to in a show.
Guys, by the way, loving the new setups, looking fantastic.
Yeah,
I like.
This is a true story. When we went on the show last time, you know, you guys, you look so good and you're so professional, and our producer was like, "Listen, we got to upgrade."
Is this like AI art behind you guys, or is it? Are you actually there?
No, this is all real.
I thought, Brad, I thought you were talking about my new setup. You know,
I feel bad because I usually have like my content creator set up. Of course, I'm traveling. I'm on a laptop, and then they upgrade. I'm like, well, you know, sorry, I didn't hold up my end of the bargain here.
It looks good though, man. Yeah, you guys, it's looking, yeah, very professional. Yeah,
I gotta say, I'm really excited. I know when we last spoke, you were talking about a big pivot for you guys, but also, you know, the kind of like first episode of the kind of show that goes alongside the game that's due to come out. So I've been really excited for this one as well. Like, you know, how's it gone up for you guys over the last few months? And, you know, are you on track? You know, all those things. Like, yeah, give us a bit of an update.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thanks for that. Let's talk about the game, and then we'll talk about the show. Cool. It's so fun to be able to say that. So yeah, like 2-3 months ago, we made a pivot. We did like these 6 play sessions and got really good feedback from our audience, which I know you guys are very familiar with. And what we learned was the roguelike wasn't really working, and the card system, it was just kind of underwhelming. And for those of you who don't know, those are like big like core mechanics, you know,
core
system. So,
yeah,
yeah, we had to have this kind of heart to heart and sit down and decide, you know, what we want to do. And I'll be totally vulnerable. Like it was one of the hardest, one of the scariest decisions that I've made, you know, so far. And God, am I so happy that we did. We decided to pivot. So we basically dropped the card system and just swapped in like abilities. So think World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy, like, you know, you just have abilities for your characters. And then we dropped the roguelike, and the quick story behind that is literally we couldn't make the story work with the roguelike.
I was thinking that.
And you know, we're trying to tell like this linear story. And for like 3.5 months, we tried to, you know, make it work with like procedural map generation, and players could make different choices that send in different ways. But Michael's team kept saying this, like, if you know how the story ends, you can't reset it, you know, because the stakes are kind of gone.
Yeah.
Every time that it seems kind
like
of
watching the Han Solo movie.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's almost embarrassing.
And actually, maybe we should just rewind for a second, because
yeah, please.
For a player perspective, it's almost like watch part of the show and then go into the next phase of the story in game, right? That's the kind of the vibe you guys are going for. So it's like I guess transmedia, but kind of like moving you through the stages of the story from, you know, one form of media to another. Yeah.
The story that you're working through in the game is directly related to the scripted content that you can engage with as well. So yeah, it's the roguelike. We were thinking that for reasons that revolved around procedural map generation, it could be cool if you play the same story with a new set of friends, but the map's totally different, so you kind of don't know where to go exactly.
Right.
There could be fun in there. I won't be redundant and repeat what Steve said, but yeah, that wasn't fun. That wasn't
well, and it just didn't work from the story perspective, from a narrative perspective, right? We looked at games like, I mean, Hades was the closest example, but roguelikes are so magical because you can get a lot of content out of them, you know, because the story resets, right? And they're really fun. But we weren't making it work. And to elaborate or maybe put a finer point on what we're trying to do is that the show is going to come out next week as an audio drama. Eventually, we'll have an animated series. The idea is,
which actually is today, right? In terms of
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Like for when this goes live, like the show is out, and obviously we'll have any sort of links that we can down below.
Go check this
Absolutely
shit out.
Go and check this out, guys. This is going to be awesome. Like, make sure you check the links out down below. Sorry, Steve, carry on.
No. Yeah, I'm. Thank you for that. And we can talk more about the show. I really want you guys to hear Michael talk about it. But the idea is you listen to or watch the show, Epic Fantasy, and then at the end of the season, you jump into the adventure path, and the content that you play through picks up narratively right where the show left off.
Okay.
Like one of the first things you do is help a main character from the show, like escape. He's been captured, and again, that all ties in. And so to take it back, like we were thinking we could get a lot of legs and content out of a roguelike, but we just couldn't make it work narratively because it's a story-driven game, and it's not very fun to go retell a story. So
walk me through what like what people are going to go do. They're going to go download an episode, the whole thing. What is dropping today, right now? What do we got?
Today is the launch of the first book of The Forgotten King, R.I.P. And it's 10 episodes. It'll take you from the preface all the way through to, well, I don't want to spoil anything. But,
it's an event.
10 episodes in there. What we want is for fans to listen to the show. It's very like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, high fantasy type of content, and then come in and sign up to Playtest and play our game, and then continue the story. They'll make their own
how long is that 10 episodes? Like what's like an
about
hour?
5 hours. It's very, very bingeable. I highly recommend you download all the episodes at once and binge it straight through. And yeah, if you're watching House of Dragon or Rings of Power right now, or if you're a Harry Potter fan, or if you're, if you like fantasy, my sincere hope, because sometimes I feel like gamers and fantasy nerds are the same people. My hope is that what I'm trying to do here, like, really captures people in both ways. Like, you can become a really big fan of a kind of what I'm aspiring to be a great fantasy IP. I've read and written a lot in the genre, and I think The Forgotten King is playing with some dope beats, guys, like some fresh stuff. Again, I've studied Martin and, Tolkien and Rothfuss and Brandon Sanderson, a lot of the great fantasy writers. I've studied them intimately for like decades now. And my attempt here to The Forgotten King at writing what I'm aspiring to be one of the next great ones. Gosh, that's a big sentence, guys.
That's cool.
But you heard it here, guys. We got one of the greats.
That, and I realize I'm biased because I'm your wait, let me say it. Okay. All right. The idea that a story like that could resonate with fans, and then this is can we swear on the show? This is the fucking linchpin. The idea that fans of that IP could create a character in that world and then play a video game where the story is connected, like it's linear, it's related. What you're doing matters in the world and is connected to the world. I think that's the coolest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
And my assumption is it goes story, game, story.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just assuming.
Yeah, literally just did with your hands one of the slides in our pitch deck.
Nice.
It's literally watch, play, watch. So season 1, and then you play Adventure Path 1 for my D&D tabletop RPG fans out there. It's a campaign. It's an adventure path. We all know what that is. And then season 2 comes in, and it's all connected. And then we have 7 seasons of the show all mapped out.
Oh, wow.
7 adventure paths that all have this symbiotic relationship. So the content that you play through in the game will then tie right back into.
What's the type of timelines you're thinking to go from, this first chapter, this first season of the show into game? Like, how long would you expect fans to go on to that sort of second part of the show, I guess?
Yeah,
so fundraising is the first question.
There's the first, yeah. We got to raise a lot of money in order to actually pull it off the way that we want. But Steve, go ahead. Yeah, there's kind of 2 ways to answer this. For the next 2 years, the goal is to kind of follow in the footsteps of the greats like Martin and Tolkien, and do, low cost but high quality content with the book and, an audio drama. We have plans to do a comic book next year.
Cool.
And just kind of build an audience around that. And then with our Series A, do the animated series and do, big push on kind of higher premium content. But it's like 2 years. What we really care about is the timing of when the show, and I'm just going to use that that could cover a bunch of different mediums, right? But when the show ends, that's when we drop the next adventure path. That's what we really care about. So it's like a year and a half, but between a year and a half and 2.5 years that we have from a production perspective to build the next adventure path, and then time that with the release of the show. So
okay,
yeah,
man, it sounds awesome. So talk to me about the fundraising aspect. So like, are you guys taking this to the people? Are you doing like a start engine? Are you doing a Kickstarter? Are you doing things like that, or are you saying, hey, let's get in front of what's I mean, like, and obviously feel free to be as dodgy around these questions as you want to be, but it's good to know. Like, we're here, we're shooting the shit. What's going on?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. I'll be totally transparent. It's been really hard. We're raising in a really, really difficult environment. I think everybody knows kind of what's going on in the gaming industry at large, and then just with the election and where interest rates are at, it's been really challenging. So we're talking right now to angels, VCs, and strategics. That's mostly just institutional money. The hope is that with the release of the audio drama, publishing the book, and then doing a comic book, we can build enough of a fan base to do, honestly, very similar to what you guys are doing, do a Kickstarter and a GoFundMe down the road. But for this round, it's called our seed round. We're looking for institutional money to come in and basically build out the adventure path. It would get us all the way to early access. And then, like I said, do some of this content release as well.
And where does the community live, right? Is this a Discord community? Is this we'll have that. We'll have that link then. Yeah, obviously.
We have 2 different landing pages. There's Play Store Games, which you can go in and sign up for the Discord, sign up to Playtest as well. And then tfkseries.com is where the show will live, and it'll be more about the content outside of the game. TFK series, yeah, that's where a lot of content.
I'm gonna be honest here, guys. I'm a little insulted. I'm not in this Story Games Discord. I'm gonna need that ace like today, right now. Obviously, I've got the link. It'll be in the link below. All right, that's fine. I'll click it myself.
Yeah, we'll drop it in there. Hop in. Yeah,
but
we're next month, towards the end of the month, maybe early November. We're gonna start doing play tests and bringing people in, and that's like our funnest thing to do ever. It's critically important. I know you guys do this quite a bit and get fan feedback. That's what we're looking for. We're early days, we're early in development, so it's going to look janky. Some gray box will be in there, but man, like, there's nothing more than we love fans coming in and be like, this is what we love and this is what we hate. Like,
where would you put yourself in that dev cycle? Where would you guys put yourself at?
Between like demo and pre-alpha, we were in pre-production and had a pre-alpha out, and then we ripped that all back to the studs as we talked about. So we're like finishing the demo right now, and then by the time we bring players in, it'll be in that pre-production phase. So I have a little bit of artwork, but we're just trying to get to show like kind of the core game loop and core game mechanics, AI NPC in there that you can interact with. That again is from the show. Cool. So pretty early, but you'll get a good idea of what the game plays like.
So I know that before we went live, we were talking about some of the stuff that we were doing, and we kind of did this. I did a video where I talked about some of the hardest questions that we're having to answer, or we're deciding to answer, I guess, from the community, and how we're kind of like directionally taking on some of that feedback to change some of the things within our game, or not, depending on on how we feel. But I wonder, do you have that same sort of interaction with your community right now in terms of sharing some of the stuff that you can and kind of getting initial feedback, or are you not kind of at that stage yet?
Yeah, we were right, but then we got honest feedback.
Yeah,
we had to go back to the studs. And yeah, that primarily happens through Discord, some Typeform stuff, and hopping into chat rooms with them. We love the verbal, we love the conversation like that. That's so valuable.
GDC live events, like in person, getting feedback real time when people.
Yeah.
Yeah, GDC was really big for us as well. We were just swamped the whole time, and Michael said it, but getting that like live feedback of like literally watching them play is so incredibly valuable because you just see how they're interacting with.
Yeah.
It's so valuable. It's so painful too because you're looking at it.
Oh
like,
my God.
Just click the thing. It's bright. Like,
Yeah,
why don't
we
you
had our
see
first
this?
experience, didn't we, at Gamescom, where we were handing people the phone with our first kind of demo on, and you're watching people play, like watching over their shoulder, and you're like, why is no one pressing ults? Like, you've got an ultimate ability sitting there.
Yeah.
Nobody can see it, and it's so clear. But obviously, it's, you know,
why
yeah. It's like back to the UI UX guy. It's like, make it bigger.
Make it bigger, make it brighter, make it more obvious. Make it sound explosion. Freaking tell everybody.
I know. I almost want to throw the same question back to you guys, and I watched that video, which again I love the hard questions one. But yeah, you know, talk to what's your guys' process? How do you collate feedback? You know, how do you digest it among your team, and then make decisions based off of it?
It's pretty continuous, right?
Yeah,
I mean, Simon, if you want to jump in, but like I'll just say we basically have already got a team of QA that we've started to build, and we're building. You know, we're increasing. And they give us a lot of like continuous feedback on like the really, really, you know, daily or weekly builds, right? That's very continuous. And then we plan to do, and we are going to be doing kind of like larger little cohorts, I guess, groups to do some tests and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, like our biggest feedback that we've done again was around the Gamescom time when we first got our like a real, here's the demo, put it in your hands, poke around. What do you guys think? You know, like. But Simon, I mean, Simon's doing it live, man. Like you're showing stuff all the time.
Well, so yeah, I mean, we do weekly updates of whether it's concept art, whether it's talking about features, whether it's showing bits of the demo. So people are seeing what we're doing. Sorry, say again.
I have for real watched a lot of those, the weekly updates.
Cool, thank you.
It's fun, right?
Yeah. Well, and I love doing it. Like when I'm talking to the art guys, it's like, oh yeah, would you mind recording you guys actually producing someone in 3D, like a 3D character? Because people don't really get to see this stuff unless you live and breathe, you know, development. Actually, people don't see it and understand it, and it's a ton of work, and it's a really skilled job, you know. And you see some of the sort of 2D concepting, and some stuff just like blows my mind. You know, it's like, okay, they take in the front view, they just take a copy of it, put it to the side, start drawing over the face, and suddenly you've got the back view, and I'm like, what? That cannot be how it works. But yeah, anyway, some of that stuff is very cool. But I'd say we're really active in Discord. So, you know, as a community, we're looking for ideas. We're looking for feedback on what we're already doing. We're looking for feedback of our kind of game genre in general. And I mean, I personally read every single game idea that comes in.
I don't know how you do it, honestly.
I'm just like, instead of going to sleep, I just read.
How do you implement? How do you implement ideas that stick and that resonate? And even if they're big and radical, or I know there's a spectrum there, but yeah, how do ones make it through that get into the game?
So I think what we do is, if something really stands out as a cool idea, it goes straight into the game dev team, game design team, and we're like, is this something we can actually mold so that it would fit our style? And then if there's 3 or 4 really juicy ones, we have a weekly roundtable where basically we just kind of like talk through a topic at length. And, you know, it might be like, okay, let's talk through our roguelike. You know, what's our roguelike normalized PvE mode going to look like? And we're basically taking some of those suggestions and we're saying, does this work within, you know, the realms of our game? And a few of them have pretty much, okay, we probably take the initial idea and then we evolve it and we make sure it fits our kind of like core gameplay loop. And is it going to fit in terms of the amount of time we want people spending in the game on a daily basis, and, you know, all that type of stuff. But it does get in some way, or we might literally park it and say that could be great for live ops. We can't do it right now, but and then we've got a whole kind of like tranche of ideas that are sitting on the back burner, which we know are cool ideas. We're just like, we're not sure how to implement this at the moment.
I mean, and that's basically Brad. I mean, so Brad, if you want to hop in on this as well, this is Brad's day to day, man. This is Brad's in there in the shit designing like all day, every day. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, sure. Loving the energy, guys. I mean, you guys got me excited to watch your show and play your game. I'm loving the energy. So yeah,
Yes.
super awesome. I'm enjoying watching y'all cook. But yeah, so I'm in meetings probably for almost 2 or 3 hours a day, just talking with the team and talking with the design team. And sometimes Sham will pop in or Simon will pop in, and we get a group of 4 or 5 of us, and we'll even go to like YouTube videos, and we'll be like, hey, we're getting a lot of comments about this. And you know, are they right? Do they have a point? Like, do we need to revisit this? And so yeah, we spend hours a day reading through Discord, reading through YouTube, seeing what common narratives are out there from multiple users, and trying to figure out what can we implement, how can we implement it, should we implement it, are we doing a good job with this, are we doing a bad job with this, and we definitely try to monitor all that stuff. And Simon is an absolute legend. He can keep track of everything. He can read more than all of us combined. It seems like he keeps up with every channel,
I don't
every
know.
Discord.
I'm honestly, I've no idea.
AI? There's AI programs that do that. Is Simon one of them?
I am AI.
He
Yeah.
might be actually. This I would believe if someone told me actually you've been swindled. Simon actually is an AI. I'd be like, tracks. That makes sense actually.
I tell you, my superpower is seeing a lot of text and actually just grabbing the main piece from that text and then taking it back down to 2 lines and saying, is this actually cool or not?
Yeah,
that's what I do. And I think what's cool as well is because you just get that kind of like energy quite quickly from the community over different topics. Then you know, if directionally something feels great or terrible, I think you get the energy straight away, and then it's like, well, let's now deep dive this one because there's a lot of energy pushing one way or the other. So you know, this is a topic that's really worth our time and you know, and a bit more work. And then we get other people from the team in to start to, you know, gather more information around that topic. So and we've also got a number of people that are working with us that are content creators or, you know, got a game design background. They'll come to those round tables and we'll give them the brief. You know, this is what we're going to discuss today. So bring your ideas that will support what we're looking to do, basically. So we get a really great, you know, this kind of like massive funnel of ideas, which we then just kind of like try and piece down into a really great like final design. And then it's over to Brad. It's like, Brad, now you need to make this work in a game.
Well, and what do you guys do? I guess like to same question basically. Like what's your process?
Wait, can I? Yeah. Well, before you share what we do, can I reflect something back to you guys real quick? Sorry, it's like bursting out of me.
Yeah.
I think it's really special what you guys do. I think that's probably rare and unique. I remember when Steve worked at Riot Games, hearing that Riot was a very player-focused company and thinking that was really cool. But honestly, you guys sound like you've kind of leveled it up and you care about it as like a core part of where you design from and think from and what your company is and who you guys are and how you think. It also might be related to, I've read Creativity Inc., the Pixar startup, and like ushering ideas, championing ideas, removing ego. That's why I asked, like, how many people are in that room? And I was going to ask, who makes the call? Like, but you guys don't even think about it that way. You think about it like, let's get all the information that we can from these players who are investing their time and then figure out how to make the best ideas win with other people, you know, like you said, the influencers that you bring in. The reflection is I think you guys will succeed because of that. I think it's really special and really rare to have leaders think that way, and you guys are doing that. I just think it's fucking dope. So
yeah, I've never experienced a single time in any of our like design meetings where it's like, listen, I outrank you and we're doing this. That never, or we're always just like, hey, what do players think is freaking cool? Like, and then we kind of come to a consensus and we're like,
they're the boss, man. They're the boss.
Yeah. The
you know what I mean?
But there is an element sometimes where it's like, I know they think this is cool, but actually it's not fun. Like some things people, you know, and generally it's to do with how quickly can I get stuff. Yeah, that's generally where this is kind of line of.
Wouldn't it be great if I just had all the heroes?
I just want all the cool stuff straight away, day one, and then I want to beat everything that's in the game day one because that's a great achievement. It's like, well, you are bored. You are bored like this. So gone. some stuff you have to balance with just kind of like, I guess some common sense and some understanding of what's going on. But honestly, it's just we just want to create a cool game. Like that's basically what it comes down to. So it's literally we don't have a need for egos because it's just like does this feel cool or not? And if a lot of people are pushing in a direction, it's probably something, there's something behind that.
But
So,
you know what helps this, I would say, even more, and I agree with everything you just said, Simon. Like, I think that one of the things, because you're talking about like having a vision and an understanding of what we actually want to do at the end of the day, and then bringing in ideas that help support that, right? But I think what's maybe special about what we really we try to cultivate this, and whether or not we succeed, I can't say 100%, but so far it feels like so far so good, is having a clear vision that everyone understands. Because then it's so easy to make a decision, right? It's like, okay, we need this to happen. The players need this. They want this. We want them to be excited about this. No one needs to make the decision. The decision's already made. You just look at the data. You say information, fill it in, and boom, okay, yeah, decision made. It's like, everyone has that shared vision, and I think that's, I think this, when you have a smaller company, it's easy to do that. And what I think is challenging to do, and what we will be challenged to do, and what we are working to do, is make sure that we make sure that continues as we scale. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that, like, I'm wondering for you guys, like how those decisions are made and all that type of stuff. Like, how does that work?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I feel like I'm about to talk for 10 minutes because there's so much here that's so juicy. Okay, first, let me just give the plus one.
Soapbox, go.
Well, look, it's why I love you guys. It's why I love Fateless, because of how you handle your community, and you were basically born out of a community, right? Which is, I think, it's such an incredible advantage. Let alone you're just awesome guys that I just love hanging, just love talking. It's specifically the way that you collate and consider feedback. And I know we've harped on it, but what comes to mind for me is Concord, is Sony, and I don't want to twist this dagger because I know we've all seen it, but the flop that Concord was, right? That was a $180 million budget and 6 or 7 years in development, and it's a real head scratcher, right? Like, how does a studio like Sony release a flop like that? And for me, at least, and a lot of the content that I read around it, is that they didn't do what we're talking about right now, right? At the end of the day, and excuse the VC fundraising terms because it's just all in my mind right now. Finding product market fit and understanding what your value proposition is and how you're meeting an unmet need in the market, like you're solving problems that players feel. That's how you create a great game, right? To me, it has nothing to do with the studio title, even the team behind it. It's how are you interacting with your players? How are you listening to feedback? Because we've said this a couple of times, like, they're the boss, you know what I mean? Like, that's who really matters, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's the magic that I think you guys are on, and why I know you're going to be successful. At the end of the day, you're going up against Raid Shadow Legends, right? Like, that's who you're after. And the game that you're building, I know, is solving problems that Raid Shadow Legends has, right? And your fans see that, and of course they want to help you. Of course they want to share their ideas because they want a better game. That's what all gamers want. Like, give me a game that solves the problems that I feel. And so maybe to tie to what we're doing, we're going after Baldur's Gate 3, gulp, right? Massive game of the year.
Let's go.
But a lot of, we've spent, even before like production, we spent a lot of time just reading Reddit threads, right? Reading YouTube comments, right? Yes, Baldur's Gate 3 is incredible. Don't get me wrong. That's like an amazing game, but every game, right, has holes in it. And one of the first things we saw was just co-op, like the multiplayer experience in Baldur's Gate 3 wasn't great. It's a D&D, it's the older rule set, so that's kind of a barrier of entry there.
But
right?
hold on, I'm going to pause you there for a second, because I think what you're saying is totally true. But I think that, if someone were to say, hey, I'm going to build a small company, I'm going to try to go up against, like, this titan that is these companies. It sounds a little bit, you're like, whoa, that's what? Are you serious? But especially in the genre that you guys are in, when you finish a story, are you like, oh, I guess I'm done with this genre forever? Like, no, you want more great stories. You're like, that's the first. I actually, like, when I finish a great game like that has an ending, I'm kind of mad. I'm like frustrated, because I'm like, well, now what am I going to do? What am I going to play now? What's the next thing I'm going to do? And usually I go out trying to find what's the next thing to do. I'm like, is it going to be, maybe I switch mediums and I'm going to go watch something that feels like it. Maybe I'm going to go find another game that they made, because I'm with the similar characters or the same characters. For you guys, that totally makes sense to me, man. You, like, going out there and saying, like, we're gonna make a game that makes me feel the same way that a Baldur's Gate does. Yeah, awesome. Like I think that's totally real. Like assuming we've got the next one of the greats here, which is what I'm hearing.
It's just right now. TBD, guys.
TBD. We're working on it, right? But
honestly though, and that's the cool part for me, like, because we don't just game, like you say, that this kind of like group of people. I mean, I started to read, I don't know if you guys really know David Gemmell, right? David Gemmell is like my favorite author by a long way. He's a great fantasy writer. I think he must be more like Europe based. Like I don't know how it's not everywhere, because David Gemmell, yeah, you should read his books. He's deceased now, but his books are insane and like easily my favorite fantasy writer. So once I'd read one book which I liked, I was like, damn, I just need to go and find more of his books. I'm not even kidding. I've read every single book he's ever read. It's like like TV shows. I binged every single book, and if I go on holiday now, I'm like, should I get a new book from a different author, or should I just reread one of these books which I love? You know, and but then if you can like immerse yourself into something that you love like that, but then go and play the game as well in the same world, it's just like, damn.
That's the dream. Yeah. I mean, I have this stat in my mind right now. Again, I'm in fundraising mode. I apologize. But 80% of gamers wish that there was a TV series or movie for their favorite content. And look, all the major studios.
Who are those 20% that's saying no? This is my question.
I don't know,
anyway, keep going.
I don't want to watch that movie, but but like look at Fallout just came out, right? And guess what happened to the Fallout game sales? They went up 100%. They all increased, right? Borderlands is about to come out. Oh my God, Borderlands, right? Yeah. Arcane, Mario Brothers, Last of Us, like all these studios have figured it out. But again, the opportunity we see, and this is, I think, what you were alluding to, Sham, is we want to connect those two, right? So you play the game. Okay, it's going to be another 2 years until the next adventure path comes out. But while I wait, I'll watch season 2, and that's like more content that you can engage with, right? And that's that ball that we want to toss back and forth. So you're keeping players in the world, but in a way that when they go to game, they're a part of it, right? They're moving the story forward, and that's. I can't remember if we said this last time, but because we brought up Baldur's Gate 3, I would say this. Imagine if D&D the movie came out and then they released Baldur's Gate 3, and then but the story just picked up right where the movie left off.
Yeah, that would be too cool. Yeah, that'd be too awesome.
that idea, right? It's the continuation of the narrative is what we're after. And man, is it hard, but God, is it fun. Well, my favorite meetings every week is the game design narrative syncs. It's the most fun thing ever, right? Because our narrative team is just telling us,
how long are those meetings, by the way? Like I'm interested in like kind of the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, they're scheduled for an hour. They go an hour and a half.
I know. You're like, okay, guys, that's cool. But now we need to move. We got to do some other stuff. So real quick, on the story, you have written. I guess what's written. So, do you know where it ends? I guess is an important question because I'm not trying to get lost here. Or
if you guys are familiar with Game of Thrones, I think there were 7 seasons of that show, if I remember correctly, right?
Something like that, yeah.
I have plotted out 7 seasons of the show. So, like, I know all the macro beats, kind of this, the season.
Hold on. But does it end? Is this an end at 7? Ends.
Great. Yeah, well, we have like decades worth of content of ideas. Like, just for example, I have an entire feature film written that's set in the world. We have the whole story area for a prequel, like what House of Dragon.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, again, I've been debating 9 years, so like it really is kind of a mountain worth of content. But I want to be super specific, answer your question super specifically. In terms of what is actually written, I haven't written like the first season of the TV show. Do you know what I mean? That's like a writer's room. That's a lot more work. But just the plotting, the macro beats, and then I guess this goes without saying, but the plotting of the adventure pass as well. Like, I know how the stories connect from one season to an adventure path.
Right. This character dies. This one does this. These characters go here. They do that.
Yeah, this is what the players are going to be a part of.
What the players do. The players are going to be involved with this part of the story. So then when they watch the second season and they see how things play out in the show with the characters in the show, they're going to be like, holy shit, my characters did the thing that they're talking about that was really important. And then
yeah, I remember when I did that. That kind of feels like, you know, that's sweet.
I want to throw a little Willy Wonka idea out that I can't help. And again, we're early days and no one's ever done this, but this is something I want to aspire to do. I love the idea that we can have visibility on what our players do. And when they defeat an adventure path, we can take some of maybe the first people that defeat the first adventure path in the game. We take their characters and write them into the show. Do you know what I mean? Like that type at Willy. And
oh yeah, that shit would be awesome.
Yeah. Even if it's just a character that you create showing up in the background of Game of Thrones, I gotta be honest, my nerd heart would explode.
That would be too good. Yeah, that would actually. Even if,
or if it's just a sword that they reference that you had, you know what I mean? Like any little, like you'd be like, oh guys, that's me. That's me.
My 8-year-old me can't handle that, and so because we're an animated fantasy series that has the exact same visual language as the video game, I really do think we can pull off the Willy Wonka thing where like you see what it looks like in the game in the show. Literally, I think, again, no one's ever done it, so I can't say I for sure know that we can do it, but that aspiration, that idea, it's what, let me riff off of that
too. Taking a swing, man. Yeah, that's what we want.
I know. Yeah, we so in our world, you know, character creation is such an important part of a role-playing game. And for us, when players make a character, they're called a traveler in our world. The traveler is basically like an orphan, a nobody. And there's a lot there that I'll just hand wave. But we love the idea then of, again, it's you become a part of the story, because for those of you who've ever played a tabletop RPG even, or made your own character, what that delivers from a player fantasy is like, now you are a part of the world that has agency over it. And we all know you put a piece of yourself, sometimes a lot of yourself, in the characters that you create. And so, yeah, sometimes too much. And so there's a power there too that I think is really unique as well, that we're letting players create their own character that is part of the world, that has agency and influence over that world, so that when you do watch the show, you feel connected to it on a deeper way than I think what like Spider-Man delivers or The Witcher delivers, right? You're playing a character that's not your own. Like, that's so cool. And I love The Witcher, right? But when it's your character, something different happens there, I think, psychologically and emotionally, where it's like, oh my gosh, now I'm like a part of this world. I'm invested in it.
And are you still using the kind of the AI technology within the game for your storytelling in game?
Yeah. So to be totally transparent, I would say we're still navigating through that, right? Like, it's the wild, wild west of AIs. We aspirationally, the idea, we like saying kind of behind closed doors, we're using AI to replace the dungeon master, if you're familiar with kind of what that term is. When players make decisions, the AI reacts to it. What we're demonstrating now, and we're just so excited about, we have this in our first prototype, is just the AI NPCs, because the implications of that technology in terms of when a character from the show shows up in the game that the players can interact with, instead of it being a, scripted dialogue, which is what we're used to, if you can talk to them in a way like they're people, and they respond in a way that like they're reacting to what you're saying, that's like that innovative next level. It's like a new level of gaming, right? That we have.
I would imagine, like, once you're able to feed an AI, and I'm no AI expert, by the way, but you're able to feed an AI the source material from, the book so far, or the show, or whatever it's going to be, the AI will understand the character that they're trying to portray in the game, and then they will answer appropriately. I would have thought, like, you can actually start to train that type of stuff.
Yeah, so we have that right now. Actually, almost a year ago in our first prototype, here's what we did. We did a very small scale version of what we're about to do and releasing the audio drama. We slipped the manuscript to like 15 people and then had them come in and play. And we just had a spoiler. His name is Malar Nightbringer, a main character from the show, from the book, in the game. And for about a month, we had players every day writing us, be like, look, the combat system was cool. I just spent 45 minutes talking to Malar.
I didn't actually play.
Yeah, exactly what you're saying, Simon, is true. Like, we train the AI NPC, the AI model. They know everything about the world, and they have these like triggered things of like things they want to talk about, or the quests they want, things they want the player to achieve.
Well, and obviously the dream, though, and I'm guessing I'm hoping that this is what you guys are aspiring to, because I'm just making an assumption, but is that once the player then goes off and does things, right? They kill off this monster, this area. Malloy's might know about that. Maybe he didn't hear about it right away, right? Maybe, you know, a dragon rider had to come. I don't know. I'm just making shit up as we go, but you get what I'm saying?
Exactly what we're after. In the same way that in D&D or in Pathfinder, that's what the dungeon master does, right? Like he
oh, I heard that you guys did this, and you're like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Exactly,
that's fun.
exact same thing. And so our players play through like what a quest would be in World of Warcraft or, you know, any traditional RPG. We just call that a story, right? Like you go and play through a story, and then when you come back, the whole idea is exactly what you're saying, Sham, that the NPCs react to the decisions that what happens in the story that the players play through. So it feels highly, highly immersive, and they change what they're saying based off of, well, a myriad of things, not just what players do, but that's the idea.
Super hype, man. So I guess my next question is like, how long is like the so we have the story, you play the game, and of the game so far, like what's kind of built? You said you got the demo. Is it like we're talking about like, oh, okay, we're in that vertical slice just testing systems, but we have some story, or is it mainly just like, okay, let's test the systems and make sure that it feels good? Like what type, where are we at with that?
More of the latter. So kind of the roadmap is right now the first story that players play through, the one that we're building, is called Escape the Caves. It's, again, spoiler, you help a main character escape. He's been captured. That's tied for the story. And that's our focus right now. We call it a beautiful corridor. We instead of a vertical slice, like this is what the game will look like. You play through a full story. But then over the next year and a half, what we're so excited to do with players is we will release more stories. So like think of it as like the next chapter of a book, right?
Yeah.
And bring players in. And that's the early access will be, we call it a campfire, is a town called Tree Down. And there's like 10 to 15 stories that happen in that first campfire. That'll be our early access release. And you could almost think of it as like the first couple chapters of a book. It'll be our first segment, if you will, of the adventure path. And we have 6 campfires that make up the adventure path. We have a map that kind of shows all of this that maybe I'll drop for you guys and link so you can see kind of how it works.
Yeah, cool. Nice.
Yeah, that's the basic roadmap.
And how soon then can players actually start to play that kind of early access stuff?
Well, so early access will be about a year and a half from now, but we want to get in as early as the end of October, early November is where we're going to start doing those really limited. We like 10, maybe 15 max, limited signed up windows to get players coming in and playing through Escape the Caves, the first story, and giving us our feedback.
And I imagine you get into that through bribing you guys, but mainly through Discord, right? Is that the strategy?
Yeah, Discord, and then we have a little sign up. We really we'll take players that haven't listened to the show, but what we really want is players that have, you know, consumed season 1 or
you probably want both though, don't you? You kind of want the two cohorts in a sense. You want to be like,
I'm just being honest. The first round is going to be with of our limited playtest will be from fans that have listened to the show. We want to take them through first, so they're like, oh my god, like they see what we're doing, like oh, I'm helping Millar, oh my god, right? We want that first. And then, yes, we absolutely want players that haven't listened to the show, because we want to see, like, does the game stand alone? Like, can you play? Is it compelling enough? Like, you don't know the context, but it's still exciting to get.
Because then you might get it in reverse, or you'd hope so, that really enjoying some of the story beats in this game. Oh, hold on a minute. There's actually an audiobook or a show or whatever other media you've got at that point.
I need to go see.
I want to go and check that out. Like, I'm going to go and check that out now.
Yeah, and I hope our investors are listening. You know, for the next 2 years, the focus is the game. We have to make a great game first, right? I already bragged about Michael, but it's the show. We don't need to de-risk the IP. Like and Sham, you've listened to a little bit of it. Like it's really
so good, dude.
Right?
Listen,
we'll build an audience around that. Yeah, like the show and the book and all the content. Like that's in a way secondary, right? But making a great game is what we really want. And yes, my hope is we will get players that just hear about the game, they come in and play, and they're like, oh wait, there's all this content I can consume, connected, and kind of expands the universe as well.
I would be curious a little bit more about the mechanics of the game. I know you said Baldur's Gate 3, and you talked about how you ripped back to the studs from like cards and some of those mechanics. What is the direction moving forward? Do we level up, get skill points? Do we do smithing like in Skyrim and level up our smithing? Like what are some of the core mechanics you're going to be working with?
Yeah, beautiful. So it's very, we say World of Warcraft meets Final Fantasy. With the Final Fantasy Tactics, I think is even a little more accurate. Yeah. Oh my gosh, such a great game. Yeah, so turn-based with build trees, and the kind of different flavor that we have is you get to choose your abilities, so it's almost like a loadout. You can think of it as.
Yeah.
You have 6 like ability slots, and then
turn-based tactical, or so because you say Final Fantasy, are we talking about different levels and?
Isometric, yeah. We have different levels as well. So tactical, yes, and 4 different classes. We have warrior, rogue, channeler, and ranger, or hunter. Sorry. And if I probably only need to say the names and you understand what they are, pretty typical class. Our channeler is like our mage healer type of class. That's again connected to the world. But yeah, so abilities, you get to choose your 6 abilities that come with passives. Weapons also come with stat bonuses, and then items. We're not going to do like gear slots. We'll have 5 item slots that give you bonuses to whatever skills and passives and abilities that you take on. So pretty typical in terms of like RPG player progression. Instead of doing leveling, we'll have ability points that tie into a tree. So think like vanilla World of Warcraft, if you remember those days. Each class has kind of 2 or 3 type of build paths that you can go in. So that's at least a high level overview.
Any plans of like an economy? Sorry, go ahead, Simon.
No, I was just saying, is it co-op or single player?
Co-op. So it's 1 to 4 players. Michael always pushes this really hard. It's let's tell a story, and he keeps saying like it should be 2 to 4 players. You can't play single player, but we're not going to do that. You can play through. It will be harder. We also we have plans to make some content only accessible by multiplayer, and the game is balanced for 2 and 4 players. So if you do want to go alone, like you can do it, but it'll be harder. It'll be much better with friends. And we also have like social interaction mechanics built in, where like you get buffs if you play with other people. On a lot of the way that the abilities are built are meant to work with and synergize with other players. So you can play single player. Real quick, go ahead, buddy.
We also really like the idea of splitting the party up to talk to different NPCs to get information that the whole party needs to defeat a bad guy. Do you know what I mean? So that like that type of, within a cooperative game, it feels like the thing that you are going off to do is really important for your party. That's kind of a social system that we've built into like the DNA of the game, which you will completely not get if you're single player. So that's why I'm so passionate about, play with your buddies, get a squad, get a party together, and go beat up bad guys.
Well, I'll be in the middle for you guys. You guys should just make sure that there's an AI that you can play with.
Right, exactly.
Will there be a whirlwind build for Sham? That will be his first question.
If there's no whirlwind build, guys, I don't even want to talk about this.
In the warrior build right now in the demo, one of the abilities you can build to is called whirlwind. So
I mean, you should probably just change it to spin to win, because that's how I play. I play pretty much every game, so doesn't matter what it is. It could be a staff, but I'm hoping that it's a spin around warrior.
It is. Yep, that'll be your build for sure.
Well, sweet. I guess, Brad, should we ask them?
Simon, close your ears, plug your ears.
Ask them the question. We asked you guys last time, but you had a little more time. Brad, let's hear it.
Yeah, so obviously our game is built around gods and myths and legends of all these different cultures throughout history and different mythologies. Do you guys have a favorite kind of hero or legend in that kind of vein of thought that you think it would be really cool for us to put in the game? We've had answers like Robin Hood, and William Wallace from Braveheart, like characters like that. Yeah, Simon has left the call.
It's gotta, I have 1,000 answers, which is not helpful. The first one that came to mind is right above my head. If you guys
oh my god, you're gonna say Mad Mardigan?
Yeah, if you've ever seen them,
that's scary.
That's a good one.
I would love to see a Mad Mardigan hero.
But I love the IP crossover. It doesn't matter. Gods, myths, or legends. That's why we have to say the Robin Hood thing. We want to make sure people understand it's not just gods.
Yeah.
Steve,
pending a licensing agreement with Marvel, which I'll help you go for.
Nice.
You can see some of the stuff
Ah,
out
the
there.
cap. Okay, like I love it.
That's my guy. I realize he doesn't fall into maybe the god legend ethos, but because Michael stole Mad Mardigan,
you don't think he's a legend? Come on, man. This guy's an
I think he's got to be a legend. Yeah.
From what I've seen of I don't know if he would fit in the zeitgeist of what you guys have, but Steve Rogers, Captain America, he's my guy.
That's just because your name is Steve. Is that the issue? Is it the Steve thing?
Bit of a What'd you say, Mike?
I thought for sure you guys were gonna pitch one of your characters from your.
Yeah, we're gonna need a possible crossover here.
Come on. I was setting this thing up for you guys.
That would be phenomenal. You should have texted me and just been like, say Gail Aaron.
No, it wouldn't Princess Kyla, Steve. It would be Kyla Aaron.
Yeah. See now we have so many ideas flushing. I'm just saying. I've seen your guys' art, honestly, and I don't know if you guys have like something that you could. Because I was gonna put you guys both on the spot, by the way, and I didn't. I should have mentioned this earlier. One, I was gonna have you guys put up like a picture of one of the characters. I don't know if you have it, but yeah, I mean, the art is super cool. I love kind of the style, and you guys will have seen it a second ago. So I'm not gonna butcher the description of what the style is, but it looks awesome. So
Eastern anime meets Western high fantasy. If Zelda is kind of the closest comp that I think that comes to mind for art style, but we're trying to have our own corner of fantasy visual language that
a little more high fidelity than that, but it's badass, man.
Yeah, Blue Eye Samurai is a touchstone. Lord of the Rings just announced War of the Rohirrim. That we kind of like what they're playing with. Anyways, I appreciate that, Sham.
But so yeah, I mean, you appreciate that, but obviously when we come calling and it's time to get a collaboration after you guys have made tons of success,
please, it'll be Princess.
Let's go.
And for those of you listening and watching, I hope like right now you jump in and listen to the show, and remember that name, Princess Kyla. She's kind of the main protagonist of the first book that we're releasing today.
Awesome.
Go listen
to it.
Yeah. No, guys, this has been amazing. Thanks for joining us. I'm loving the energy and where your head is at, and I think it's gonna be amazing. I can't wait to check it out. We're gonna put the links, like Simon and everybody said, down below. Definitely check it out. We'll provide everything you need to join Discord and check out everything that they're doing over there at Story Games. So, Stephen, Michael, thanks for joining us. Sham, Simon, it's good to see you, and we will see you soon in the next Fateless podcast episode. Cheers, everybody.